The great assembly hall of Vareth Prime could hold 10,000 beings. Today, representatives from 47 spacefaring species filled the curved seats that rose toward a ceiling of living crystal. Light from 3 distant suns poured through the transparent walls, casting long shadows across the polished stone floor. Ambassador Claire Morrison stood at the central podium. She was a tall woman with gray hair and steady hands. Behind her, a holographic display showed Earth, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. She had practiced this speech for 3 months. Every word was chosen with care. "Honored representatives," Claire said, her voice clear and calm. "Earth formally requests full membership in the Galactic Trade Compact. For 5 years, we have observed your laws. We have followed your customs. We have proven ourselves worthy partners." She touched a control panel. The display changed to show trade statistics, cultural exchanges, and scientific contributions. Humans had done everything asked of them. They had been patient, they had been respectful. Claire believed this day would mark a new beginning for her people. She was wrong. A harsh laugh echoed through the hall. It came from the Vorian section, where Ambassador Drexel sat among his delegation. He was a tall creature with dark blue skin and 4 arms. His eyes were solid black, and when he smiled, rows of sharp teeth showed. "The human thinks she belongs here," Drexel said loudly. He did not use the formal request to speak. He simply interrupted. "How amusing." Several representatives from other species laughed with him. Claire felt her face grow warm, but she did not move. She did not react. Speaker Vornak, the ancient Kelthari who led the council proceedings, raised one thin hand. "Ambassador Drexel, the human representative, has the floor." "Does she?" Drexel stood and walked down toward the central area. His 4 arms gestured widely as he spoke. "Let me tell you about humans. For those who have not studied them, they are primitive apes who stumbled into space by accident. They have been among the stars for only 300 years. 300 years. My species has traveled between worlds for 11,000 years. More laughter. Claire noticed that Speaker Vornak did nothing to stop it. "Their territory is small," Drexel continued. 40 systems. 40. The Vorian Dominion holds 900. Their population is limited to 20 billion across all their colonies. They have short lives, 80 years. Perhaps 90 if they are lucky. What can such creatures offer us? What wisdom can they share when they barely live long enough to gain any? Claire stepped forward. "If I may respond." "You may not," Drexel said. "I propose that Earth remain in observation status for another century. Let them mature. Let them prove they are more than clever animals playing with technology they do not understand." The words hit Claire like physical blows. She had expected resistance. She had expected difficult negotiations. She had not expected open mockery. Speaker Vornak looked around the hall. "The Vorian representative has made a proposal. Do others wish to speak?" No one defended Earth. A few representatives looked uncomfortable, but none of them stood. None of them objected. "Then we shall vote," Speaker Vornak said. "All in favor of extending Earth's observation status by 100 standard years?" Lights appeared above the seats. Green for yes, red for no. Claire watched as green spread through the hall like a disease. Section after section voted against humanity. The Luminari abstained. Everyone else either voted yes or did not vote at all. The final count appeared on the main display. 41 in favor. 0 against. 6 abstentions. Drexel smiled his sharp smile. "The council has spoken." Claire stood very still. Her hands were steady. Her face showed nothing. Inside, anger burned like fire, but she had been a diplomat for 30 years. She knew how to hide what she felt. "The council has made its position clear," she said. Her voice did not shake. "Earth accepts this decision." She gathered her documents. She walked toward the exit. Representatives whispered and laughed as she passed. Then she stopped. Claire turned back to face the assembly. 47 species looked down at her. Some with amusement. Some with pity. Most with complete disinterest. "You have made your position clear," Claire repeated. "Earth will remember this day." Drexel laughed loudest of all. "A threat? From the primitive apes? How frightening." The hall erupted in laughter again. Claire said nothing more. She turned and walked out through the great doors, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Outside, her shuttle waited on the landing platform. 2 human guards stood at attention. They saw the look on her face and knew immediately that the vote had failed. Claire climbed into the shuttle. The doors closed behind her. Only then did she allow herself to breathe. She activated the secure communication system and entered a code that very few people knew. The screen flickered, and a face appeared. Admiral Jack Bennett, commander of Earth's First Fleet. He was an older man with white hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "How did it go?" he asked, though his voice suggested he already knew. "They refused us," Claire said. "All of it." "They laughed, Jack. They called us primitive apes. They extended our observation status for another 100 years. Bennett nodded slowly. His expression did not change. "The Vorian ambassador led the opposition," Claire continued. "Drexel. He made a speech about how inferior we are, how short our lives are, how small our territory is. And the others? No one defended us. Not one species spoke in our favor." Bennett was quiet for a moment. Through the shuttle window, Claire could see the lights of Vareth Prime's capital city stretching toward the horizon, thousands of aliens living their lives, unaware of what had just happened. Unaware of what was about to happen. "Then we proceed with Option 7, Bennett said. Claire closed her eyes. Option 7. They had hoped it would never come to this. They had hoped the galaxy would accept them peacefully. "Are you certain?" she asked. "They made the choice, Claire. Not us. We tried diplomacy. We tried patience. We gave them every opportunity to treat us as equals. I know. Go back to your quarters. Get some rest. By morning, everything will be different." The communication ended. Claire leaned back in her seat as the shuttle lifted off. Below, the assembly hall grew smaller and smaller. The representatives inside were still laughing. They were celebrating their victory over the upstart humans. They were congratulating themselves on putting Earth in its place. They had no idea that 800 warships were about to prove them wrong. 12,000 light-years away, Earth received the news. Counselor Merrick Thorne stood in the war room beneath the capital city. Screens covered every wall, showing fleet positions, communication channels, and intelligence reports. 20 of humanity's highest-ranking military and political leaders sat around a curved table. "They rejected us," Thorne said. His voice was heavy. "Ambassador Morrison reports that we received 0 votes in our favor. The Vorian representative called us primitive apes." General Henry Cole slammed his fist on the table. He was a large man with a scarred face and no patience for insults. 47 species, and not one of them stood with us? Not one. The room was silent. These men and women had dedicated their lives to preparing for this moment. For decades, they had worked in secret, building, planning, waiting. They had hoped the galaxy would accept humanity through diplomacy. "Option 7, Cole said. It was not a question. Thorne nodded. "Option 7. Admiral Grace Palmer leaned forward. She commanded Earth's Second Fleet and had fought in 3 border wars. Her hair was cut short, and her eyes were sharp. "How long do we have before Morrison's transport reaches safety?" 4 hours, Thorne replied. "She will be clear of Vareth Prime by then. Then we move in 4 hours. The plan had existed for 30 years. Every detail was prepared. Every ship knew its position. Every captain had sealed orders waiting to be opened. The galaxy believed humanity had only 40 warships. This was exactly what Earth wanted them to believe. In hidden shipyards scattered across human territory, 807 warships waited in darkness. Battleships the size of small cities. Carriers holding thousands of fighters. destroyers fast enough to chase down any ship in known space. All of them built in secret. All of them ready. Admiral Jack Bennett sat on the bridge of his flagship, the ESS Ironclad. It was the largest warship humanity had ever built, 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, protected by shields that could withstand orbital bombardment. 40,000 crew members worked within its metal walls. Bennett studied the tactical display. 7 fleets were positioned across human space, each one hidden behind moons, inside asteroid fields, or cloaked by advanced stealth technology. At his command, they would move as one. His communication officer spoke. "Admiral, priority message from Admiral Palmer. Put her through." Grace Palmer appeared on his screen. Behind her, Bennett could see the bridge of her own flagship. "Jack, 4 hours until we jump." "I know. Are we really doing this?" Bennett looked at the display showing Vareth Prime. Somewhere down there, representatives from 47 species were celebrating their victory over Earth. They were drinking and laughing and congratulating themselves. "They had their chance, Grace. We tried peace. We tried patience." They answered with mockery. Palmer nodded slowly. "What about the Void Swarm? If we damage relations too badly, we are not going to damage anything. We are going to show them who we really are. When the Void Swarm reaches their borders in 30 years, they will be grateful we are on their side." On Vareth Prime, the celebrations continued. Ambassador Drexel sat in the finest restaurant in the capital city. Ambassadors from 12 different species surrounded him, praising his speech, admiring his wisdom. "You put them in their place," said the Torvak representative, a small creature covered in gray fur. "Humans needed to learn humility." Drexel sipped his wine. It was imported from a world 3,000 light-years away and cost more than most beings earned in a year. "They are young. They are arrogant. They thought they could simply walk into our community and demand equality. It does not work that way. Do you think they will cause trouble?" another ambassador asked. Drexel laughed. "What trouble can 40 ships cause? Even if they threw their entire fleet at us, we could destroy them in a day. No, they will go home, lick their wounds, and return in 100 years with better manners." The table laughed. Glasses were raised. The music played. None of them looked at the sky. In orbit above Vareth Prime, Captain Daniel Shaw sat in the command chair of the ESS Relentless. Officially, his ship was a supply transport carrying medical equipment. In reality, it was a destroyer capable of destroying a small moon. 11 other ships like his waited in various positions around the planet. They had arrived over the past 3 months. One at a time. Always with innocent cargo and friendly smiles. No one had suspected. Shaw checked his watch. 3 hours until the signal. His first officer approached. "Captain, the crew is asking questions. They know something is happening. Tell them to be patient. They will know soon enough." Back on Earth, the fleets began to move. 7 admirals received the same order at the same moment. Operation Option 7 is now active. All ships proceed to designated coordinates. Maintain communication, silence until arrival. 800 warships powered up their engines. Jump drives charged with energy that could light a city for a century. Navigation computers calculated paths through folded space. Admiral Bennett watched his fleet come alive around him. The ESS Ironclad hummed with power. Lights that had been dark for years turned on. Weapons, systems that had never been tested in combat, armed themselves. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer said. "Time to jump? 47 minutes. Bennett stood and walked to the main viewport. Outside, hundreds of ships hung in the darkness, their hulls gleaming under distant starlight. His people had built these ships in secret while the galaxy laughed at them. They had trained their crews in hidden facilities while alien ambassadors called them primitive. Now the galaxy would see the truth. On Vareth Prime, the suns began to set. Ambassador Drexel returned to his quarters, satisfied with the day's events. The restaurant bill would be sent to the Vorian government. It was a small price for such a great victory. He did not notice the supply transports changing position above the planet. He did not see Captain Shaw's ship moving toward the assembly hall. He did not feel the shift in the universe as 800 human warships entered jump space. He simply went to sleep, dreaming of the speech he would give tomorrow about the importance of maintaining galactic order. At exactly midnight, standard galactic time, the jump drives activated. Every human ship vanished from its hidden position. Space folded around them, carrying them across thousands of light years in an instant. On Vareth Prime, a young Kelthari sensor officer stared at his screen. His name was Ventok, and he had held this job for only 6 months. He had never seen anything like this. "Sir," he said, his voice cracking. "Sir, you need to see this." His commander walked over, annoyed at being disturbed. "What is it?" Ventok pointed at the screen. Red dots were appearing across the display. Dozens of them, then hundreds. "I am reading over 800 human warships entering the system," Ventok said. "They are everywhere." The commander stared at the screen. His face went pale. Outside, the stars disappeared behind metal hulls. The human fleets had arrived. The alarm woke Ambassador Drexel from a deep sleep. He sat up in his bed, confused. Emergency sirens wailed outside his window. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. For a moment, he thought it was a fire, or perhaps an earthquake. Then his communication device exploded with messages. He grabbed it and read the first one. It was from the Vorian Military Command. 800 human warships have entered the Vareth system. All Vorian personnel are ordered to report to evacuation points immediately. Drexel read the message 3 times. 800. That was impossible. Humans had 40 ships. Everyone knew this. Intelligence reports confirmed it. Spy networks verified it. 800. He ran to his window and looked up at the sky. The suns had not yet risen, but the darkness was not empty. Massive shapes blocked the stars. Warships hung above the city like metal clouds, their running lights blinking in the pre-dawn gloom. More ships than Drexel had ever seen in one place. More ships than he had thought humans could build in 1,000 years. His hands began to shake. Across the city, similar scenes played out in every embassy, every government building, every home. Beings of 47 species woke to find human warships overhead. Panic spread faster than the emergency broadcasts. In the assembly hall, Speaker Vornak stood before an emergency gathering of representatives. Most of them had come straight from their beds. Some still wore sleeping clothes. Fear filled the chamber like a cold wind. "This is an act of war," shouted the Torvak representative. "We must respond with force." "With what force?" asked another ambassador. "I have contacted my homeworld. Our nearest fleet is 3 weeks away at maximum speed. The Vorian Dominion has ships," someone began. "The Vorian Dominion has 120 ships within 2 days of here," Drexel interrupted. He had dressed quickly and rushed to the hall. "The humans have 800 above our heads right now." Silence filled the chamber. Vornak raised his thin hands. "We must contact the human commander. We must understand what they want." Before anyone could respond, the main communication screen activated by itself. Admiral Jack Bennett appeared on the display, seated calmly on the bridge of his flagship. Behind him, officers worked at their stations. The image was clear and sharp. He looked like a man in complete control. "Good morning," Bennett said. His voice was pleasant, almost friendly. Vornak stepped forward. "Admiral Bennett, this is an unprecedented violation of galactic law. You have brought warships into neutral space. You have threatened a peaceful world. What is the meaning of this?" Bennett smiled slightly. "Yesterday, your council humiliated my ambassador. You called us primitive apes. You laughed at our request for membership. You voted to extend our observation status for another century. That was a legitimate political decision." "That was an insult," Bennett said, his smile fading. "We tried diplomacy for 5 years. We followed every rule. We respected every custom. And you answered with mockery." The chamber was silent. No one wanted to speak. "So we decided to give you something worth observing," Bennett continued. "You believed we had 40 ships. You were wrong. You believed we were weak. You were wrong. You believed you could laugh at us without consequence. You were wrong about that too. Drexel pushed forward. His fear had transformed into anger. This is a bluff. You would not dare attack a neutral world. The entire galaxy would unite against you. Bennett turned his eyes to the Vorian ambassador. Ah. Ambassador Drexel. The one who called us clever animals. The one who said we barely live long enough to gain wisdom. He paused. Tell me, Ambassador, how wise do you feel right now? Drexel said nothing. His four hands clenched into fists. We are not here to attack anyone, Bennett said. We are here to demonstrate a simple truth. Earth is not weak. Earth is not primitive. And Earth will not be ignored. The main doors of the assembly hall opened. Every representative turned to look. Ambassador Claire Morrison walked through the entrance. She wore a formal diplomatic uniform, and her gray hair was perfectly arranged. Behind her marched 20 human Marines in full combat armor. Their weapons held ready but pointed at the floor. Claire walked to the central podium. The same podium where she had been humiliated just hours ago. She looked around the chamber, at the frightened faces staring down at her. Good morning, she said. I believe we have some matters to discuss. Vornak stumbled over his words. Ambassador Morrison, we did not expect. No. You did not expect this. Claire straightened her jacket. You expected us to crawl away and accept your decision. You expected us to wait another 100 years for permission to exist. You were mistaken. She touched a control, and a document appeared on the main display. Earth has 3 demands. First, immediate full membership in the Galactic Trade Compact. No more observation periods. No more delays. That is not, someone began. Second, Claire continued, ignoring the interruption. A formal apology from this council. To be recorded in the permanent archives, every species that voted against us will acknowledge that their decision was based on prejudice rather than merit. The chamber erupted in protests. Voices shouted from every section. Claire waited patiently for the noise to die down. Third, she said, recognition of all current human territory claims, plus the 12 systems we have been developing in secret. More shouting. More protests. Vornak waved his arms for silence. And if we refuse? Vornak asked, when the noise finally stopped. Claire looked up at the viewport where Admiral Bennett's flagship hung like a steel moon. Then she looked back at the speaker. If you refuse, we leave. We take our ships, and our technology, and our people, and we never return. We build our own alliance, our own trade networks, our own future. Without you. That is not a threat, Drexel said. That is what we wanted. Claire smiled. It was not a warm smile. Is it? Tell me, Ambassador Drexel. What do you know about the Void Swarm? The chamber went very quiet. 30 years, Claire said. That is how long you have before they reach your borders. Our scientists detected them a decade ago. We have been preparing ever since. How have you been preparing? No one answered. Humanity is offering you a choice, Claire said. You can accept us as equals and stand with us against what is coming, or you can face the darkness alone. She checked her watch. You have 1 hour to decide. She turned and walked out of the chamber. The Marines followed. The doors closed behind her. In the silence that followed, Drexel realized his hands were still shaking. The hour passed, like a year. Inside the assembly hall, representatives screamed at each other while warships circled overhead. Some demanded war. Some demanded surrender. Some simply demanded that someone else make the decision. Speaker Vornak tried to maintain order, but his voice was lost in the chaos. He was old and weak, and he had never been tested like this. His authority meant nothing when fear ruled the chamber. Ambassador Drexel stood at the center of the storm. He had spent 30 years building his reputation as a strong leader, a voice of Vorian power. Now that reputation was being destroyed in front of his eyes. This is a bluff, he kept saying. The humans would never fire. They are too soft. They talk about peace and cooperation. They would never risk becoming the enemy of the entire galaxy. Then why are their weapons armed? Asked the Torvak representative. Why are their targeting systems locked onto our evacuation ships? Drexel had no answer. In a quiet corner of the hall, an ancient figure sat in a floating chair. Elder Sylvana, of the Luminari, had said nothing during the entire debate. She was 4,000 years old, her body supported by technology that kept her alive long past her natural span. Her skin was pale silver, and her eyes held memories of ages past. She had seen this before. When the shouting reached its peak, Sylvana activated the speaker system built into her chair. Her voice was soft, but the technology carried it to every corner of the chamber. "Sit down," she said. "All of you, sit down and listen." The representatives fell silent. The Luminari were the oldest species in the council. When they spoke, others listened. "You are all acting like children," Sylvana said. "Fighting over who is to blame. Arguing about what to do. You have forgotten your history." Vornak bowed his head. "Elder Sylvana, please share your wisdom." 2,000 years ago, another species stood where the humans stand now, the Kreth Empire. They came to this council seeking membership. They were young. They were ambitious. They were different from us. The chamber was completely silent. "We laughed at them," Sylvana continued. "Just as you laughed at the humans. We called them backward. We rejected their application. We sent them away." "I know this story," someone said. "The Kreth War." "Yes. The Kreth War." They left this chamber humiliated. They built their strength in isolation. They returned with 1,000 warships and conquered 8 council worlds before we could stop them. 50 million beings died. Entire civilizations were destroyed. She looked around the chamber at the frightened faces. "We mock those we fear," Sylvana said. "We always have. And we have feared humans since the day they reached for the stars. We saw how fast they learned. We saw how quickly they spread. We saw the fire in their eyes, and it terrified us." "They are dangerous," Drexel said. "That is why we rejected them." "No." Sylvana's voice hardened. "We rejected them because we were afraid of what they might become if we accepted them. We thought that keeping them weak would protect us. Instead, we created exactly what we feared." She pointed toward the ceiling, toward the warships blocking out the stars. 800 ships. Built in secret. Crewed by beings who remember every insult, every rejection, every laugh. And still, they offer us peace. Still, they offer us partnership. She shook her head. "The Kreth would have opened fire by now. The humans give us an hour to decide." The truth of her words settled over the chamber like snow. "What do you suggest we do?" Vornak asked. "Accept their demands. All of them. Give them what they want." Drexel stepped forward. "That would make us look weak. Other species would see that they can threaten the council and win." "Would you prefer to look dead?" Sylvana asked. "Because that is the alternative. Not from the humans. From the Void Swarm. Do you know what I have seen in my 4,000 years? I have seen empires rise and fall. I have seen species evolve, and species go extinct. But I have never seen anything like the Void Swarm." She touched a control on her chair. Images appeared on the main display. Destroyed worlds. Dead fleets. Empty space where civilizations had once existed. "They are coming," Sylvana said. "The humans know this. That is why they built their fleets. That is why they wanted to join us. Not for trade. Not for status. For survival." The chamber stared at the images of destruction. "Vote," Sylvana said. "Vote now, while you still have the chance to choose your future." Vornak raised his hand. "All those in favor of accepting Earth's demands?" The lights appeared above the seats. This time, green spread slowly but steadily through the chamber. One section after another voted yes. The Torvak. The Kelthari. A dozen other species. Drexel watched as his allies abandoned him. One by one, they chose survival over pride. The final count appeared. 39 in favor, 4 against, 4 abstentions. Vornak turned to face the communication screen where Admiral Bennett waited. The Council accepts Earth's demands. Full membership, a formal apology, recognition of your territories. I will prepare the apology for the record, Vornak continued. It will be broadcast across the galaxy. Bennett nodded. Thank you, Speaker Vornak. Ambassador Morrison will return to finalize the details. The screen went dark. An hour later, Claire Morrison stood at the central podium once again. This time, no one laughed. No one whispered insults. The representatives watched in silence as Vornak read the formal apology. The Galactic Council acknowledges that its previous decision regarding Earth was made in error. We recognize humanity as equal partners in the galactic community. We apologize for any offense caused by the actions of individual representatives. Claire accepted the apology with a simple nod. No gloating. No revenge. No long speech about their victory. Earth thanks the Council for its reconsideration, she said. We look forward to productive cooperation in the years ahead. As she turned to leave, a voice stopped her. Ambassador Morrison, she turned. Drexel stood at the edge of the chamber, his forearms hanging at his sides. He looked tired. He looked defeated. Yes, Ambassador Drexel? He walked toward her slowly. The chamber watched in silence. You could have destroyed us, he said. You had the power. You had the justification. Why did you not? Why did you not? Claire looked at him for a long moment. Then she extended her hand, the human gesture of friendship. We could have been allies from the beginning, she said. We still can be. Drexel stared at her hand. His black eyes showed nothing. For a moment, the entire chamber waited to see what he would do. He turned away without taking it. Claire shrugged and walked out of the chamber. The Marines followed. The doors closed. Behind her, the Council began to argue about what had just happened. But for the first time in 5 years, no one was laughing at Earth. 1 month passed. The human fleets returned to their home systems, leaving only a small diplomatic escort at Verith Prime. 800 warships vanished as quickly as they had appeared. But no one in the galaxy forgot they existed. On Earth, life returned to normal. Or something close to normal. Trade ships from a dozen species now visited human ports. Alien merchants walked through human cities. Technologies that had been forbidden to humanity for centuries were now freely shared. Admiral Jack Bennett sat in his office at Earth Command, reviewing reports. The immediate crisis was over. But he knew the real work was just beginning. Admiral Grace Palmer entered without knocking. They had served together for 20 years. Knocking felt unnecessary. The Void Swarm intelligence reports, she said, placing a folder on his desk. Our scouts have confirmed the estimates. 30 years. Maybe less. Bennett opened the folder and studied the images. Dark shapes moving through distant space. Millions of them. Billions. A hunger that consumed worlds. Have you shared this with the Council? He asked. Ambassador Morrison is briefing them today. Some species still do not believe the threat is real. They will. Eventually. Palmer sat down across from him. Do you think we did the right thing? Showing our hand like that? Bennett thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. We could have stayed hidden, he said. We could have built our strength in secret for another 50 years. We could have faced the Void Swarm alone. And we would have lost. Humanity is strong, Grace. But we are not strong enough to face what is coming by ourselves. We need allies. Real allies. Not masters who look down on us, partners who stand beside us. Palmer nodded. The Council seems willing to cooperate now. Fear is a powerful motivator. So is respect. Yesterday, they feared us. Today, they respect us. Tomorrow, I hope they will trust us. On the Vorian homeworld, Ambassador Drexel faced judgment. The Vorian High Council sat in a circle around him. Their faces showed no emotion, but their words cut like knives. You insulted the humans in public, said the chief counselor. You called them primitive apes, You laughed at their ambassador. And then 800 of their warships appeared in Council space. I was following established policy, Drexel said. For centuries, we have kept younger species in their place. We have maintained order through strength. You maintained nothing. You revealed our weakness to the entire galaxy. Other species now see that the Vorian dominion can be threatened. Other species now wonder if they should build secret fleets of their own. Drexel lowered his head. What is my punishment? You are stripped of your rank. You are removed from all diplomatic positions. You are forbidden from representing the Dominion in any capacity. The words hit him like physical blows. Everything he had built over 30 years, gone in an instant. You may leave, the chief counselor said. The Dominion has no further use for you. On Vareth Prime, Elder Sylvana prepared for a journey. For the first time in 600 years, she would leave Council space. Her destination was Earth. She had requested a formal invitation, and humanity had accepted. Her assistants helped her into the transport ship. The journey would take 3 weeks. At her age, even with the best technology, space travel was difficult. But this trip was necessary. She needed to understand humans. Not from reports, not from recordings. She needed to see them with her own ancient eyes. Counselor Marek Thorne met her at the landing platform in the human capital. He was younger than she had expected. All humans seemed young to her. Elder Sylvana, he said, bowing slightly. Earth is honored by your visit. The honor is mine, Counselor. I have wanted to see your world for many years. They walked through the city together. Sylvana saw humans going about their daily lives. Working. Laughing. Raising children. They did not seem like conquerors. They did not seem like the terrifying force she had witnessed at Vareth Prime. May I ask you a question? She said. Of course. At Vareth Prime, you had the power to demand anything. You could have claimed territory. You could have forced the Council to give you military technology. You could have made us servants instead of partners. Thorne nodded. Yes. Why did you not? Thorne stopped walking. He looked up at the sky, where clouds drifted across a blue expanse. Because empires fall, he said. Every empire in history, human and alien, has eventually collapsed. They grow too large. They make too many enemies. They forget why they wanted power in the first place. And alliances? Alliances can last forever, if they are built on mutual respect, if every partner benefits. If no one is master, and no one is servant. Sylvana studied his face. She had seen politicians lie for 4,000 years. She had become very good at recognizing deception. She saw none in this man. The Void Swarm will test your alliance, she said. It will be the greatest challenge any of us has ever faced. Onans, I know. Many will die. Worlds will burn. Species may go extinct. I know that too. And still you want partners instead of subjects? Thorne smiled. Partners fight harder. Partners do not surrender when times are difficult. Partners protect each other because they want to, not because they are forced to. 1 year later, on a frontier world at the edge of known space, the bar was dirty and crowded, and perfect for someone who wanted to disappear. Drexel sat in a corner booth, drinking something strong enough to blur his memories. He had lost everything: his position, his honor, his purpose. Now he drifted from world to world, taking whatever work he could find. The door opened. A human walked in. She was tall with short brown hair and the calloused hands of someone who worked with machines. A freighter captain, probably. The frontier was full of them. She bought 2 drinks and walked to his booth. Without asking permission, she sat down across from him. You are Drexel, she said. It was not a question. What do you want? She pushed one of the drinks toward him. Nothing. Just thought you could use some company. Drexel stared at the glass. A human buying him a drink. A year ago, he would have thrown it in her face. Why? He asked. The woman shrugged. Does there need to be a reason? She did not say anything else. She did not demand an apology. She did not lecture him about the mistakes he had made. She simply sat there, drinking her own glass, watching the other customers come and go. After a long moment, Drexel picked up the drink. He looked at it. He looked at the human. Then he drank. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere beyond them, the void swarm continued its endless march. 30 years. Maybe less. But tonight, in a dirty bar on a forgotten world, a human and a Vorian sat together in silence. No hatred. No fear. Just two beings sharing a drink at the edge of darkness. The galaxy had laughed at Earth once. Now they stood together, watching the night, grateful that humanity had answered mockery with mercy.